welcome. Happy Tuesday. I'm Jennifer with Chock Full of. I am a Couture independent designer. If you are joining today, please drop a comment. Let me know you're here. If you're joining the replay, drop a hashtag replay. Give me just a moment while I get us shared out to all of our groups. And make sure my comments are working and we will get started. How is everybody doing? I hope you're all well. Beautiful Tuesday. Leave a comment if you're here so I know you're here. Hit your share button so other people can come and join the conversation. If you're not watching live and you're catching the replay, hit hashtag replay so I know who joins. I can follow up with you if you have any questions. And we'll get started momentarily. How's everybody doing? How's your Tuesday? What are you up to? Tell me what you're doing tonight. Is everybody having a good day? I hope you are all having a lovely day. And we are just about ready to roll. All right. So I want to make sure I can see my comments. So if you're joining, say hello, drop a comment down in the box, hit your share button so other people can come and join us. If you are watching the replay, drop a hashtag replay so I know who is here. My name is Jennifer with Chock Full of, and I am a Couture independent designer. Tonight we are gonna start talking about Valentine's Day projects. Woo! So it's only January, February is not here yet, but it is quickly approaching, and all of our lovely Valentine's Day transfers are currently out of stock, but all coming back in stock later this week. Usually that's Wednesday or Thursday, so I'm going to be showing some projects with those, collecting some pre-orders. So what we are looking at tonight are our hearts pattern transfer. It's one, I've already cut it, but it's one C-size transfer with our 4 heart patterns, and it corresponds perfectly with our wood heart cutout sets. But you don't have to use the wood cutouts. We're gonna do a couple different projects tonight. So I'm gonna do a chalk project on the wood heart cutouts, and I'm also gonna do an ink project on t-shirts. So a couple different things to check out. So if you guys are joining, drop a comment, say hi, let me know you're here so I know who's joining us. Hit that share button so other people can join the conversation. If you're watching the replay, drop me a hashtag replay so I know who was part of the party. So, Valentine's Day, get excited. So if you're interested in what you see tonight, I am offering a bundle. It includes the transfer, the set of wood cutouts, 2 chalk paste singles, and a mini squeegee for $35 plus shipping. That is well under retail to get it all bundled together. And you can only order it through me right now because right now these are sold out online, but I'm gonna get your order in for you. So if you are interested in that, you can type hashtag hearts bundle and drop me your email address so I can get an invoice out to you. But enough of the salesy stuff, let's jump into the fun. So if you are familiar with Chock Couture, you know we are well known for our reusable silkscreen transfers. This is our C-size transfer, which is a 12 by 18. I have already cut it in half and cut these 2 hearts apart, but this is one transfer that comes as one sheet with 4 different heart patterns that corresponds with our wood cutouts. You can use them on the wood cutouts or use them elsewhere, which we'll do later. So I'm gonna start chalking these. We'll do one side, let those dry while I move on to a different project, and then do the other side. And I'm gonna show off some other techniques tonight as well, so you can see some different things about how we can use our lovely wood cutouts. So my palette for Valentine's this year is going to be a little bit more muted, not your typical bright red, bright pink, but I'm going to use a light pink. I'm particularly using our color Peony, light pink, our muted purple, which is called Fig. I have a very light, subtle blue called Ocean Mist, and then a tan color called Camel. And top it off with some Shimmer Gold. So that's the color palette I'm going to use for all of my Valentine's Day projects over the next couple lives that I do. So that's what I'm going to use tonight. There are 2 larger heart transfers and 2 smaller heart transfers. So they correspond with the different size hearts. Our set of 2 comes with 1 large and 1 small. And so you've got 2 different options, and they're obviously also double-sided. So you can use both in all 4 transfers. So I'm going to start with my larger heart. And I don't want this one to be stark white in the background. So I'm going to use a faux staining technique with our chalk paste. How this works, I'm going to give this a good stir and just a little spritz of water. If you're not familiar with our Chalkology pastes, our pastes are non-toxic, reusable. They're made of actual chalk and pigment. So you can use them on our reusable boutique boards, chalk your pattern with one of our transfers, put it up on display. It is semi-permanent. You can dry wipe it off with your hand. It's not going anywhere. But as soon as you take a water and cloth to it and rub it off with water, you can remove your design and put a new design up for a new holiday or a new event. The hearts are considered a one-time surface, so they're not considered reusable. But I do know there are plenty of folks who, if they make a mistake or they decide they don't like it or they just want to keep their hearts and redecorate for another occasion, you can sand off your picture and you can start over. So here's how this technique works. You take just a little bit of chalk paste, whatever color you want to faux stain, spread it out on your surface. This works particularly well with these wood surfaces that we have. Then you're going to take a baby wipe, preferably the kind that are water-based but don't have like soaps and lotions in them, and you are going to rub that chalk paste around with the baby wipe, and you can see I'm starting to get that faux stain effect. That way I'm not putting on a thick layer of paste. But if I don't want that stark white background, and I don't in this case, I want my hearts to be more muted, going a pastel-y palette. I'm going to do the sides as well. I'm going to leave the other side white for right now because I haven't decided what I want to do with the other side yet. But I will get my sides. And the amount of paste you use and how much wiping you do with your baby wipe will determine like how heavy of a stain effect you get. Trying to not stick my fingers in it as I hold this up and turn it around so you guys can see. And you can play around with a stroke pattern. dab it around a bit. Oop. I missed a spot where my finger was. Okay, so we have that lightly stained, our faux stain effect. We use just a little bit of chalk paste and a baby wipe and swirl that around. And now we have that very light tan color as opposed to the bright white wood. So you could do this with any color if you wanted to move away from the bright white as they come this bright white. I wanted mine a little more muted. It's probably hard to see the color differential on the screen here, but this one you can see it's just a little bit of faux tan stain color. That one's bright white. So we've tamed this down. This is gonna dry really quick. Typically the chalk paste, when you are using the transfers to put your design on, take 5-6 minutes to dry. This is only gonna take 1 or 2 because we use that really thin coat with our baby wipe. But we do wanna make sure that it's dry before we put our transfer down. So we'll set that aside for just a second while we decide. So this is the larger heart. So we've got 2 options. This one is the heart with the curse of love throughout it. Or we have the striped heart right here. I think I'm gonna use that one. So I'm gonna use my transfer trimmers and cut these apart on the cut line because this side has not been used yet. My other ones were already cut apart because they were used this last weekend. Okay, so we'll set our other hearts aside for right now. So we're gonna use the stripes on the big heart. I'm gonna use my fuzzing mat. You can use a fuzzing mat or if you have a terry cloth towel, but when you first use the transfers, you wanna make sure that you fuzz them first. And that just means putting them down on the towel or the fuzzing mat a few times and getting some lint on them. Because if you don't lint up the back, they're really sticky when they first come off manufacturing. And so you want to make sure that you get just a little bit of fuzz on them to dull down that super stick so they don't stick so much to your surface that you have a hard time pulling it back up. You don't want to stretch or tear the transfer. So a handful of times. You don't have to do too much with the hearts because we're not sticking this part onto anything. The heart portion is the exact size of our wood cutout. Okay, so we have our wood cutout. Move those out of the way. So we have our wood cutout here, and I'm gonna line this up. We want to make sure that we've got a little overhang on each edge so we don't end up with a white edge on our heart. Okay, so we lined up our transfer, our wood heart, and we've got 1, 2, 3 stripes. 3 stripes on here that we need to chalk. So I want the pink to be my primary, the peony to be my primary color in all of my pieces. So I'm going to use the largest part in the center here as the pink, the peony. The blue I want to be the most subtle accent in all of my pieces. So I'm just going to do that inside stripe as the light blue ocean mist. And then on the outside, I'll use the changing my mind. We haven't used our gold on this one. That's okay. We're gonna use our gold for another one. So outside strip, we're gonna do the fig, the muted purple. So I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out. So I'm not reaching over colors to get to the inside. So all we need is a little bit of chalk paste, and then we're going to chalk over the open screen, filling all of the screen in, but being careful we don't go too far into the green so we don't go into the next section that we want to do a different color. Hi guys, welcome. As you're jumping on, drop a comment, let me know you're here so I know who's here. I am Jennifer with Chock Full Of. I am a Couture independent designer. If you are watching the replay, drop a hashtag replay. Hit that share button so other folks can come and join our conversation, see what we're up to tonight. All right, so you smear your chalk paste on all the open areas, kind of at like a 45-degree angle, making sure everything's covered. Then you're gonna come back in at like a 90-degree angle and scrape up any excess, making sure you're filling in any holes or areas that you missed. All right, now we're doing 3 different colors here, so we don't want to take too much time. That's gonna look a little bit different in the future. We are in the midst of a transition. We are changing to a different chalk paste formula, which dries a little bit slower and gives you a little more work time. This chalk paste, our original formula, dries pretty quickly, so you don't want to work too slowly because you don't want it to dry in the screen, because if that happens when you pull up your transfer, you will pull the paste up with it, and then you're going to notice spots that are missing paste. If it happens, not the end of the world. You can fill it back in. You can put the transfer back over top and re-go over it. That is the joy of these materials and being reusable and replaceable, and I guess repositionable is the more correct term, not replaceable. You can replace most anything. But repositionable, these transfers, when cleaned correctly and taken care of, are typically good, like 8 to 12 uses. That's the like standard usage. I get so much more out of them. So you could create so many gifts and different things, different projects out of one set. It's sometimes a little difficult getting in these little areas. We do have smaller detail tools. Oh, I just went a little over my edge there. Detail tools and multi-tools that are a little smaller. So if you're having a difficult time getting in the little areas, you could use a different tool. I'm gonna speed things up a little so I don't have anything drying where it shouldn't. My last paste color on here. Just spread and scrape as I go, making sure I'm filling in all my holes and covering all the parts, the open screen parts of the transfer, because that is the part that touches down to our wood heart. And I am almost at the end of the life of this fig. So you can see me kind of scraping down into the jar, and it's getting a little bit chunky. Our chalk paste, current formula, has a 1-year shelf life if not opened. Once opened, it's good for like 6 months. I'm sure you'll go through it much quicker than that if you are an avid chalker. The new formula has an even longer extended shelf life, so that's super exciting. So this stuff is very durable. You can see I'm using very little of it. A jar gets you a long way, and jars are only about $12, a little bit more for shimmers. but really affordable. They last a long time. You use very little, and as you go through and scrape up your excess paste, you put that all back in the jar and it's usable for the next project. So you can see very little is actually in use, which is great. Hi John, welcome. Hi Diane, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Guys, as you're joining, drop a comment, let me know you're here, hit your share button so other folks can come and join our conversation. If you are watching the replay later on, be sure to leave a hashtag replay so I know you're here. Thank you, Jen, for sharing. I appreciate it. Okay, guys, we have all 3 rings on the first side of our heart chalked. So now this is the fun part. We're going to peel. Ta-da! So there is our first chalked heart. You can see the pink center, then the blue middle, and the purple, and that faux tan stain color we did, you can see in the background. All right, so cleaning is super simple. I highly recommend you wash your transfer right away. You can set this aside and wash it at a later time if you don't mind that you'll get some staining on your green vinyl portion. But I recommend washing right away. This has to dry anyways, so you got a couple minutes, right? So, super simple. Tub of water. This tub is from the dollar store. It cost me $1 whole. You dip it in there, dirty side down, flip it over. We have these handy dandy, they're called board erasers, but we use them for cleaning pretty much everything when it comes to Chalk Couture. Wipe all your paste off the front side of the transfer. Like I said, even if you clean right away, you might get some staining on the vinyl portion. That's totally fine. Your goal is to get the chalk paste out of the screen portion. So it's just a quick wipe down. Let the water come off. And then you're gonna lay this sticky side up. If you have one of those fuzzing mats I showed before, those are great because they are dual purpose. The one side is terry cloth, the other side is microfiber, that is for drying. And then you wanna take a non-lint cloth or a paper towel, not the real fuzzy kind. And you're gonna wipe that sticky side of your transfer dry. Sorry, I'm kind of off screen with that, I know, but I'm leaving it up. And then you can just leave it out for a couple minutes to finish air drying. It's ready to go back on its backing sheet, and it's clean, and it looks, look at it, looks brand new, like we never used it. And you can use it again, 8 to 12 times or more if you wash it right away like I did. Yeah, 3-tier heart. So, if you guys missed the beginning, we did a faux stain on the whole surface of the heart. We used Camel, put a little bit of chalk paste on with a baby wipe, wiped it all around, and got a faux stain color so we didn't have our stark bright white. And then we used our transfer, did the stripes. We have peony pink in the middle, an ocean mist blue for the inside stripe, and our fig purple on the outside stripe. So we're gonna give that a couple more minutes to dry while we move on to the little heart. Okay, so for the little heart, we have 2 options again. We have these X's and O's. I feel farther away from y'all this week. Or we have polka dots. So I think I'm gonna start with the polka dots. I am once again going to do a faux stain on this, but I'm going to use the Ocean Mist Blue this time. Yes. Yes, good point, John Lingle. So the Enviro cloths, these are not Couture, these are Norwex. If you need a lady, I got a Norwex lady. But the Enviro cloths are amazing for drying transfers. They are lint-free cloths, and they're super absorbent, so they swipe up all the water right away and then take all the lint with it, and your transfer goes back to being super sticky, which is awesome. All right, so we're gonna fuzz our polka dots. And I said I was gonna faux stain this one blue. I think I lied. Not lied, I think I just changed my mind. I think we're gonna do a hot mess technique on this one. And I'll show you guys what that is all about. We're fuzzing this up. Do I seem far? I know. I feel far. I'm gonna scooch. And hopefully y'all can see some more of me here. But I don't want to lose all my workspace. So, ta-da! That's the side of the wood, the larger wood heart that we already did. Hopefully you guys can see that better. I like to leave it somewhere you can see it while we're working on other things, but since I just moved so far forward, I feel like I lost a lot of workspace. Okay. So we're fuzzing up our smaller polka dot transfer. How are you tonight, Jen? How's everybody doing? How is your Tuesday? Tell me about your week. Okay, so same deal. We're fuzzed up. We actually don't have to worry too much about fuzzing when we're using the wood cutouts because we're not sticking the vinyl green part to anything. It fits perfect on the wood heart. So we're gonna line up our transfer with our wood heart cutout. Make sure we've got a little bit of overhang all the way around so we get all our edges covered. It's a little hard to do sometimes, but you may have to pick it up a few times, put it back down. All right. And then you really want to smooth it out from the center outwards because since there's not a lot of transfer to grab onto the wood itself, you're gonna get some spots where air wants to come up and create these air bubbles, so you want to smooth those out. Okay, so this one we're gonna do a hot mess technique. What does that mean? That means we're gonna use a couple of different colors. We use our Ocean Mist, our pink, I'm gonna use just a little bit of purple, and I wanna get our gold in this time. All right, so when you're doing hot mess, I recommend open up all the colors you plan on using right from the start. We usually don't recommend you keep all of your pastes open because that helps air them, like dry them out, but you want to be able to get to all your colors at once. So, oh my gosh, I know it's Tuesday and I am also already exhausted. I don't really know why, but okay, so hot mess, you're gonna dab bits of chalk paste, different colors, all over. And then you're gonna take a squeegee and you're gonna squeegee everything all together and then discard of that paste because it's all mixed up now. You don't want that going back in a jar. So that's, you just wanna kinda put your paste all over. You don't want it to be too thick because you don't wanna waste too much. I mostly want the pink peony color to come through the strongest. So I'm gonna put some pink peony down now and then I'm gonna add some more of that at the very end, okay? I want a little bit of ocean blue. And just a touch of our fig. want too much of the fig in here. I want the lighter colors to come through the most. Be careful as you're doing this, because if you're getting other colors on your squeegee, you may not want that squeegee to go back in to the paste either. I need to clean that off first. All right, now I'm gonna get my gold, which we didn't use gold on the other heart, but we're gonna tie it in all together. So we got a bunch of gold. So we're just dabbing color all over right now. We're not spreading anything out. We're not squeegeeing anything together. We're just dabbing color all over. All right, and now I said I want the pink to be the primary, like strongest color here. So I'm gonna go back in and throw some more pink on. Let's see if there's anything that feels like it's missing. I see my fig. I'm gonna wipe off this squeegee because I got a bunch of gold on it and I don't want that gold going back in my pink peony. I do feel like maybe I need just a little more ocean blue in here. Again, wiping that off. This is when I like to use baby wipes because they are damp, so it's easy for cleanup. I don't want to get that much concentrated chalk paste on my nice Norwex Envirocloth. Okay, so we have our hot mess all over here. Now I'm going to take a squeegee and I'm going to go in one direction and make sure everything is filled in and all the excess comes off. So I'm basically just gonna squeegee from one end to the other, making sure all of my silk screen is filled in. Okay, so I've got a lot of chalk paste going on there. I don't want to put that back into any of the jars because it's all mixed colors. And I just got it all over my hands. 1 second. This is going straight to the trash while I make a big old mess. Okay. So we'll grab another. Make sure we've always got one like ready to go. And I can use my handy dandy Envirocloth to wipe and clean off my hands. Okay, so make sure I got all of it, that everything is covered. And you can see that the pink peony is like the primary color coming through. I've got streaks of gold and fig and ocean mist. And now I can peel off my transfer. Carefully so I don't stretch it out. And look at that. It has this like marbleized effect. Still see my polka dots coming through. I'm gonna set that aside to dry while I rinse this off. And then we're gonna look at the two together. And then we're gonna talk about an ink project. Woohoo! All right, so I got it all wet. This one you wanna be careful about holding one side and wiping it off because it's a lot of open screen, so it can easily be stretched if you're not keeping an eye on what you're doing while you're cleaning. Let the water come off. Always want to drain your water out of your board eraser and don't keep that in your tub. Let it dry on your drying mat. because if you let it just sit in the water the whole time, I know that may be an easier place because you're like, oh, I always know where it is. That greatly lessens the life of the board eraser. Granted, they're meant to be disposable, consumable. They're only a couple dollars for a 2-pack, but still, you want to get as much life out of those suckers as you possibly can. All right, we let the water run off of it, and now drying it with my lint-free cloth. My choice is the Enviro cloth from Norwex. The cool thing about these cloths is that you can actually see the fuzz from the fuzzing mat come off of your transfer. So now this is gonna sit and air dry, and it's gonna become like brand new sticky. So, hold on. I dropped my backing sheets, so I'm gonna pick those up so we can get these transfers put away. Okay, so like I said, this one we let air dry before. It's like completely all sticky, brand new, ready to go. I'm gonna put it down on its backing sheet, even though we're probably gonna use this one again in just a couple minutes. That's okay. At least now it's cleaned up and out of the way. Okay, so far we have our large heart and its matching small heart. And these nicely sit up on their sides so you can display as such. They're super cute. And remember, they're double-sided, so you could do the opposite side in a completely different color scheme. Or you could leave them blank if you wanted to save them for a different project, or maybe you're like, I want to hold out and wait all the way till next year to decide what color I want for the other side of my hearts for next year. Or you could get creative and decorate them completely differently, use a different color scheme altogether for a different holiday. Maybe you want to start putting hearts together to create 4-leaf clovers and do them in green patterns. Lots and lots of options. But these are my 2 wood hearts for right now. And I feel like it's a little hard to see them on the white table. I'm in the process of getting a new work table, and it is going to have a lovely wood top. So no more of this glaring white table that washes everything out when we're on the video. So there, I feel like on the teal, you kind of get a better idea of the color scheme. Maybe, maybe not. So those are wood cutouts. We just did one side. You saw it took us all of like half an hour, not very long. So that is the first side. There's the other side as well. So there's a whole nother option of how to decorate. We used the stripes and the polka dots, but there's also the cursive love and the hashtag XOXO. So you have a completely different option to do on the back side, completely different patterns. There's 2 large heart patterns, 2 small heart patterns, and then there's the front and back of each. So you have the opportunity to use all 4. Flip them around, you can make them solid, or like I said, decorate for a different holiday. Yes, I am pretty excited to see what we could potentially come up with for like little clovers with the smaller hearts for St. Patrick's Day. I'm setting the paste aside for right now because I'm also going to show you, okay, I've decorated my wood hearts. My transfers are good for 8 to 12 uses at least. But once I've done both sides of my hearts, what else do I do with my transfers? So your transfers can also be used outside of the wood hearts. And I'm going to move on to an ink project. I'm moving completely out of chalk and moving over to ink, which is our other lovely product. So you can use the transfers to just chalk these hearts onto any regular surface, picture frame that you want to chalk and decorate. But now I'm going to show you how you can use them with ink as well. Clean up this squeegee that we got hot mess chalk all over. Okay, so I'm going to stick with my stripes for my big heart, but this time I'm gonna put the polka dots away. That one's dry now, and we're gonna use the other little heart on our ink project. And this one has the XO hashes. XO, hug kiss, hug kiss. So I'm gonna use these two, and we're gonna do a quick ink project. I'm gonna show you how easy ink is, how quick and simple it is to customize your own apparel. So I'm gonna make a shirt for my daughter for Valentine's Day. So I got this cute little pink shirt. Look at it, on clearance for can you see that tag? $2. That's what it says, $2. So for $2, we're making our own Valentine's Day shirts for her. So you can't beat that. Pull the tag off. When you do ink, you want something underneath so your ink doesn't leak through. I highly recommend the Couture ink mats. They are specially designed to be sticky to hold your fabric in place, but to make sure that your ink doesn't leak through. They come in 2 different sizes, and they both come back in stock later this week. If you're interested in an ink mat, let me know and I can pre-order one for you. I like to cut them up in different sizes so that they fit whatever projects you're working on. And this one I had previously cut to fit inside of a toddler shirt, not my toddler, but I think that this is still gonna work pretty perfectly inside this shirt. I like to roll it like this to get it in the shirt so it doesn't stick while you're trying to get it in, because that surface really is sticky. So I put it in there and then roll it out and then adjust without having to like pull the whole thing up off the sticky surface. Okay, so that's actually pretty perfect. So you can see, here's our shirt front. We're on our ink mat. I'm gonna move a little off center here because I've got this big crack down my table. I'm gonna smooth it out, make sure I don't have any wrinkles. You can see it's sticky, so the fabric sticks to the ink mat. So that's gonna hold my shirt in place while I'm working on my design. So I'm gonna do a layered design. I'm gonna put down my big heart and then layer my little heart. So we're gonna start with the big heart, the one we want in the background. And ink works exactly the same as chalk, except you have a little bit longer work time because it's a longer drying time, which is going to be very similar to the new chalk formula. So soon they'll be almost identical to work with. All right, so we're going to put this on. I'm going to do my best to line it up straight. It also really helps if you have like one of those self-healing mats that have the grid line and the measurements. That will help you square things up and make sure things are straight. I usually just kind of eyeball it, not gonna lie. If it's a little bit crooked, guess what? She's 1 year old. She is always moving. Nothing on her is ever gonna look straight. So it makes no difference. All right, so for her, I am gonna use some fun bright colors. So I've got red, candy apple, bright red, Couture coral, which is bright pink. There's our bright red, our bright pink, and our shimmer silver. So I'm gonna do red on the outside, silver on the inside, and the bright pink in the middle. So I'm gonna start with the middle. Now, some clues about, advice about using ink. Wear an apron. It's ink, it's permanent. It's not like the chalk paste that washes out, it's permanent. So it'll stain, which is what you want. You want it to be permanent. And watch your hands and your fingers. No doubt, you'll be working around, you'll get ink on your hand, you'll not realize it, you'll move your hand somewhere else and you'll get ink a spot where you did not want ink. If you pay attention to where your hands are, if you get ink on them, then right away, wipe it off with a baby wipe, and then you won't have that problem. But ink works the same way. A little bit of ink, you need even less than what you would grab for chalk paste. At a 45-degree angle, you're gonna spread that ink into the open part of the screen. It's usually easier if you pick one direction with ink and continue to work in the same direction. You don't want to be going all back and forth and everywhere, because you want to fill in the fibers of the fabric all in the same direction to make sure everything gets filled in and covered. So up and down or left or right, I'm kind of working at an angle here just because that's the shape of this heart, but I'm working at the same angle all the way down. All the way down the pattern. So making sure I'm filling all my space. I'm keeping an eye on where my fingers are so I don't get ink where I don't want it. You want to move in one brush stroke from the top of the screen opening to the bottom. Don't want to start in the middle of the screen. And what I mean by that is you want to move from vinyl to vinyl. You don't want to stop in the screen portion, because that's where you'll get like blobs and inconsistency, like stroke lines and things like that. You don't want that. But it's otherwise fairly simple because the silk screen takes a lot of the work out of it. Got a piece of something here. It looks like I actually maybe had a piece of chalk in my ink. That's working too fast and not paying attention when I clean up things. Okay, so you want to make sure everything's covered. You don't want to put it on too thick, and you don't want to push down too hard because you don't want to force the ink under the vinyl where it'll bleed underneath. Okay, so there's our bright pink. And we're gonna do our silver. Inside interior. And for this, I'm gonna use my multi-tool because it's, you can see, smaller than the small squeegee. So I can get just that center line and not have to worry too much about getting ink places it shouldn't be. In fact, this multi-tool is almost exactly the width of this center stripe. So I kind of just gotta follow along the transfer line and I'm filling it in perfect without worrying about going over any edges that I shouldn't be going over, which is great. And once we get this heart done, we can give it a couple minutes. You don't have to worry with the ink about it being too dry before you move on to the next layer, unless you're moving your transfer around a lot. So what I mean by that is, if I go to my next layer and I lay this transfer down on top of this heart that we just did, and I do my next ink, that's fine. There's no issue there, except when I pull that transfer up, I'm gonna have ink on the back of that transfer from laying it on top of this one. So what I don't wanna do is lay that one back down again, because then the transfer on the back of that, or I'm sorry, the ink on the back of that transfer is gonna get places it shouldn't. So your first layer, no issues, no worry about really waiting for too much drying in between, but you don't want to keep moving that same transfer around and getting ink on the sticky part of the transfer getting transferred where it shouldn't. Okay. And again, the nice part about ink, slower dry time, so we can take our time here, which is nice right now when I'm working with these smaller areas, so I make sure I don't get ink where it doesn't go. Okay, so we're done with our silver stripe. In the middle, I'm going to wipe off this multi-tool because I'm going to use it for the outside stripe. I'm going to check my hands. No ink. Now I can move on to my next color, the red. Okay. So this is the last color for this one. But you can see the process is exactly the same. Spread the color on, make sure you fill in your screen, scrape up any excess and use it for the remaining open screen or put it back in the jar. We're gonna wash this transfer after the exact same way we do with the chalk in our water bath, our board eraser. Dry off the water, let it air dry. Now I will tell you, we likely will see some staining on the green vinyl portion, particularly because we're using the red. There are some colors with ink that just stain the vinyl more than others. Red is one of them. But remember, staining the vinyl does nothing for the performance of the transfer. What we want to make sure we do is clean the screen portion of the transfer and make sure that's clear of any paste or ink for the next use. Color of the vinyl, that makes no difference. So I enjoy ink because I kind of get to take my time a bit more. It's really fun for super detailed projects because you can sit and push ink into every little nook and cranny and not have to worry about the dry time and whether or not you're gonna have paste dry in your screen. So that's kind of why I gravitate towards ink sometimes over chalk. I am very excited about our new paste, our chalk paste formula, knowing that we are moving to a similar consistency and a longer dry time, and that it will be pretty much just like this, where you can take your time, fill in a million different colors, a bunch of little details. No more chalk and pull technique. If you're familiar with that, you can just take your time and it will still come out gorgeous. So that's exciting. How many of you guys have seen stuff from the new catalog so far? Remember, our new catalog launches in February. February 2nd, all of the new transfers will be available. February 16th, all of the new tools, surfaces, and chalk paste will be available. Who has seen stuff from the new catalog? Who's excited? Drop some hearts. All right, let's clean this off. My multi-tool. Okay, now we're gonna peel. I'm gonna make sure there's no ink on my hands. I do have a little bit on my thumb, some silver. Granted, nobody would care. At least my daughter wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if there was some extra silver sparkle on her shirt. Yes, I'm seeing some hearts. What have you seen that you are most excited about? Okay, another tip. When you're pulling for ink, the slower you pull, the less likely you're going to end up with any ink splatter. Woohoo! So, here's a big heart on the little shirt. How cute is that? So that's our first transfer. That's the big one. We're gonna get this cleaned up. Then we'll move on to the little heart. And then we'll talk about how to heat set this and how to make it permanent. Granted, our ink is fairly permanent. If you looked at this and went, holy cow, I hate it, there is a chance that while it's wet before it dries, if you were to launder this or use, some folks like to use those like Clorox spot remover pen things, you could potentially correct or remove some of this. I would say it's not nearly as likely because we used red. Again, red is one of those strong, high pigmented colors. You can see there is just a tad bit of red staining on my green vinyl, but we washed it off right away, so we actually got quite a bit of it. And we got all the ink and everything out of the screen, and that's the important part. Remember, we want our screen clean. All right. So we're getting all the excess water and lint from fuzzing off. Okay, we are then gonna move on to our little heart. So we could give this a couple minutes to dry. Parchment paper, yeah. So parchment paper is important for heat setting. So you've got two different options with heat setting. If you happen to have a heat press, that is obviously the easiest way. If you don't have a heat press, many people don't. I did not for a very long time. I just got one for Christmas, but I have been playing around with ink for over a year now without a heat press, so you definitely do not need it. You can use a regular laundry clothing iron. All right, we're gonna fuzz this one up. I would recommend the new ones, even on fabric, that you do fuzz them. The old transfers, I used to say, oh, if you're inking and you're doing it on fabric, don't even worry about fuzzing. You want it to stick well. These new ones are really sticky. And I worked on a shirt once where I didn't fuzz first and it was a new transfer and I almost could not get the transfer off the shirt. So I do recommend you fuzz them. Okay, so now I'm going to place this so it overlaps. Now you kind of only have one shot at the placement for this because you're working on wet ink. So if I put this down and decide I don't like where I put it, if I pull it back up, I'm going to probably have wet ink on the back of this. And then if I set it back down, I'm going to get that ink in places I don't want it. So figure out where you want your heart to go, your transfer pattern, whatever you're using, commit and put it down. If that scares you, give this time to dry. Give it an hour or so. But if you're not worried about that and think you can line things up fairly well, then just place it down. Okay, so now we have our X's and O's. We've got a red stripe, a silver stripe, and a pink stripe behind that go underneath. So I want to kind of hot mess this, I think, with all three colors. The red, the pink, and the silver. So we're going to do the same thing as before. But you're not going to be quite as messy about a hot mess with ink. So you're going to put your colors kind of strategically where you want them. The ink doesn't spread as much after the fact. So you kind of want to spread out the ink as you put it on, as you figure out where you want your ink, your various colors to go. So for hot mess with ink, I kind of work in larger sections, put the color on, pull as I go. Keep an eye on keeping your squeegees clean as you go to dip back in for more ink. And work in the same direction. Okay, I'm gonna clear that off. I'm gonna use one squeegee and clean it off between each pull, kind of clean everything off. Get all the excess ink up. Okay, And that looks good to me. This looks a hot mess. I'm gonna toss this before we do the next step. Or I'm gonna have ink all over me. Okay, so I check and make sure I don't have ink on me, and we're ready to pull this up. So we peel. Oh, perfect. It looks so good. Get these out of the way. So, ta-da! So there's our second little heart, hot mess. It's got all its colors there. Look how cute that turned out. And it's got the X's and O's that run through it. It looks so good. We'll give that a hot second to dry. We rinse this out. Notice we don't need any special equipment or anything different between using chalk or using ink. I'm even using the same water bath, the same water to clean everything. So the products are really versatile to be able to go back and forth between ink and paste and get comfortable using both. We used the exact same transfers. You don't need separate transfers or separate products if you're using ink and chalk. You do want to give a quick clean swipe to the sticky side if you layered, so you make sure you got any ink off of the sticky side. Let that water run off. Again, I'm gonna wipe down our transfer with the non-lint cloth. Get all the extra water and fuzz from when we originally fuzzed it back off the transfer, and then let it dry. Okay, so there's our cute little shirt for Valentine's Day. You could continue to add to this, add more little hearts, use our fonts and put a name on it, but I'm gonna leave it as it is. So to heat set this, you would pull it off the ink mat. You would, if you do not have a heat press, you want to let this dry for 24 hours. Then you're going to put parchment paper on the front and the back, and you're going to iron both sides, constantly moving your iron on the cotton setting for about 4 minutes per side. And then it is heat set. It is ready to go in the washing machine, in the dryer, and this ink isn't going anywhere. And it is integrated into the fabric. Unlike doing vinyl, it's never gonna peel off because it's not sitting on top of the fabric. So those are two very different projects you can do with the same set of heart transfers. So we did our t-shirt with the ink, and we did our heart cutouts, the wood cutouts with the chalk paste. Ta-da! And we did all of this in just over an hour and 10 minutes. Crazy. So much versatility, so much cute stuff you could do with these hearts for Valentine's Day. Again, they are currently sold out on the website, but they are coming back into stock this week. If you want to pick yourself up a bundle and get the heart pattern transfer and a set of 2 hearts, 2 chalk paste singles, and a mini squeegee, you can comment #heartsbundle and your email address. This is $35 plus shipping for that bundle, and then you can continue to use that transfer over and over and over on different things. You can pick up some ink and make some Valentine's Day shirts for yourself, and these hearts are really universal. Use
use different colors and you can use them for different holidays, different celebrations. I've saw some adorable green and gold ones this last weekend for the Packers. Definitely not my choice in team, but super, super cute shirts. So those are our projects tonight. If you guys have questions, let me know. Leave a comment. Look at how cute. Turned out so well. If you do have a heat press, I skipped that part. If you do happen to have a heat press, 305 degrees for about 20 to 30 seconds. You can do them in like 15-second bursts, and this is good to go. Super cute. So those are our hearts. Guys, this is just the beginning of cute Valentine's Day offerings. Keep an eye on the website. All of the Valentine's Day transfers that were earlier released before the new year that have been out of stock come back in stock later this week. Usually that's on a Wednesday or Thursday afternoon. So those are all coming back in stock this week, along with our ink mats as well. If you are interested in that bundle, you can only get that bundle through me. That is a steeply discounted price from retail. So leave a comment, get in touch. But thanks, guys. This is a wrap for tonight. I'll see you next week. I'll do some more Valentine's Day projects. Have a great night, everybody. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you next week.